history, mysteries, conspiracies, and more. Right now on Think Tank Den After Dark. You are listening to the Think Tank Den After Dark podcast. Welcome to the Think Tank Den After Dark podcast, the show where we dim the lights, open our minds, and delve into the fascinating theories that keep the curious awake at night, I'm your host, LELOW in the building. And tonight's guide through intellectual rabbit holes. Our topic for tonight, the hollow earth theory. Is our planet just a solid sphere with a molten core? Or could there be a hidden civilization thriving beneath our feet? Well, stay tuned as we explore the origins of this idea, the scientific perspectives, and some of the more intriguing claims. We'll just call it that. But before we dive into that, real quick, just a reminder. This show is just starting out. It's a new show, and we're independently funded at this time by listeners like you. If you enjoy this show and like this type of content, please consider supporting us by hitting the like button, subscribe and notification bells, follow us on the various platforms, etc. And it'll help share things out far and wide, and by all means share this with your friends or family or anyone who likes this type of content. And if you want to go above and beyond, there's a link somewhere in the description where you can donate or leave a tip, and support us directly. We would greatly appreciate it. $1, $5, $10, whatever. Just $1 goes a long way to helping with the show. So definitely would greatly appreciate that. Also follow us over on Instagram at Thinktankden, one word. And if you are listening on Spotify or one of the other major streaming platforms, follow us over on YouTube as well. Also, Thinktankden or at Thinktankden, one word. That way you can get all the various information we put out, because we do things different depending on the channel, right? We put certain things out on YouTube versus certain things out on Instagram and stuff like that. So please support us by doing those. Those things don't cost you anything. It's absolutely free to hit those buttons. So but it means the world to the channel. So please go do that. But again, thank you so much for being here and giving me this opportunity to do this. Something I've always wanted to do. Now, let's get started. The hollow earth theory. Let's talk about it. The origins of the hollow earth theory, right? The idea of a hollow earth isn't a new thing at all, right? It can be traced back to ancient mythology. Many cultures, from the Norse to the Hindus, have stories of vast subterranean worlds. For instance, in Norse mythology, they had worlds thought to be home to dwarves or dark elves beneath the surface. Right. But the concept began to kind of take shape in the 17th century. In 1692, English astronomer and mathematician Edmund Halley, yes, the same Halley associated with the comet, Halley's Comet, proposed that Earth consisted of concentric hollow spheres separated by an atmosphere, right? Well, Halley suggested that these spheres, might even have their own magnetic poles, accounting for the variations they were seeing in the Earth's magnetic field. Now, fast forward to the 19th century, and John, it's either, I'm terrible with names. It's either Siamese, I believe it's Siamese Jr., an American Army officer, famously argued that there were massive openings at the poles leading to an inner Earth. Siamese was so convinced, in fact, that he petitioned Congress to fund an exploration to these, what he coined as polar openings. Now, then there's the fictional angle, right? Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, and that's one of my favorite books. I used to love that book when I was a kid. And they've actually made many movies based around it, some pretty good ones. But I really, really enjoyed that book, and if you haven't read it, you should. It's definitely worth it. That book was, I believe, in 1864 when that was released. So it's a pretty old book, but still pretty amazing. But Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth romanticized the idea, depicting a hidden world teeming with prehistoric creatures and strange birds and dinosaurs and things like that. Well, this novel, it sparked public imagination and embedding the idea of the hollow earth and what could be beneath our feet into popular culture. Who knows exactly what his motivations were, but it was a pretty amazing concept, or amazing concept at the time. And here we are, all these decades later, and we're still contemplating it, right? The other thing I want to get into about it is, the evidence of the hollow earth, right? Or, as some would say, the lack thereof, right? So what does science say about it, right? What does science say? Well, unfortunately for my fellow hollow earth enthusiasts out there, most evidence points to the planet being predominantly solid, right? I mean, let's start with just seismology, right? Earthquakes generate seismic waves that travel through the planet, and their behavior has allowed scientists to, map the Earth's interior pretty well. For those who aren't familiar, we'll go back to science 101 here. There are three main layers to that. The crust, which is a thin rocky outer layer, right? That's where we call home, right? And then beneath that, you have the mantle, a semi-solid layer of hot rock beneath, just beneath the crust. And then you have the core, which is divided into a kind of a liquid outer core and a solid inner core, primarily made of iron and nickel. Now, if the Earth were, hollow, seismic waves would behave very differently than they do. Instead, they reflect and refract consistently, with the idea of a solid interior. Now, another challenge to the hollow Earth theory is gravity. A hollow planet would have far less mass than a solid one, right? Which would significantly reduce its gravitational pull. Now, our current understanding of gravity, based on the Newtonian physics and Einstein's theory of general relativity, it aligns with a solid Earth. It does from our current understanding. And then, finally, there's the question of heat, right? Things get nice and hot down there. The Earth's internal heat drives plate tectonics and volcanic activity. This heat comes from radioactive decay and the residual heat from Earth's formation. A hollow Earth would lack the necessary material to generate this heat. Okay. But what if we step outside just for a moment the conventional science, right? We'll step away from that. Some proponents of the hollow Earth theory argue that advanced civilizations could exist below the surface, right? Now, I'm one of those people that I believe that that's very, very, very possible. With when you look at how large the Earth is, and how little of it we've explored, and there's literally areas that we are still trying to map and figure out, what's out there. I mean, we consistently find, entire civilizations that we didn't even know existed, that were again just right beneath our feet. Many have been found off the coasts in areas that science says shouldn't be there, but there they are, right? So there's so much out there that is still waiting to be discovered. One of the famous accounts from came from a naval officer by the name of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. He was a U.S. Navy officer and well-known and pretty famous explorer. In the 1940s, Byrd reportedly flew over the North Pole and claimed to have encountered a lush and vibrant land inhabited by advanced beings. Now, while skeptics dismiss these claims as either fabricated or misinterpreted. I don't know how you misinterpret with something like that, but um, they've fueled, speculation for decades. And then there's the legend of Agartha. Some of you may be familiar with that. According to certain esoteric traditions, um, Agartha is believed to be a vast subterranean city, accessible through openings at the poles and the Himalayas and other remote regions. Now, proponents of this theory often tie it to other mysterious phenomena, such as UFOs, or what we call now UAPs, or I guess drones. um, and a lot of it is associated with some of the ancient texts as well. So it's a pretty a deeply woven myth or legend, right? Now, conspiracy theories also, play a role, right? We know that. But, conspiracy theories are fun, right? It's fun to theorize and speculate. That's the way I look at it. I like the idea of, being able to, think freely about, the strange things going on out there, and ask all the strange and odd and weird questions or whatnot about what you see. Now, it could turn out to be something mundane that you see, and it's not a anything actually paranormal. But um, if you don't ask the questions, then you will never find out, right? So I always believe that it's a good thing to theorize about things. Whether they want to label it a conspiracy or not is unimportant. The point is that we're having a conversation, we're talking about it, and we're trying to figure out something that's, unknown. Nothing wrong with that, right? Not just power, right? Um, but back to the how the conspiracy theories play a role. There's some that claim that the government agencies of the world are completely aware of the hollow earth and are actively hiding and suppressing it. You know, I mean, unfortunately, that's not a far fetched thing for us to believe. We know that governments of the world suppress things all the time. Now, some things they suppress for reasons of national security. There's legitimate reasons for certain things to be suppressed, but I think we can probably say with confidence that they go overkill on that. And like some are aware of, and like I said in my previous show, I did serve in the military, and I had a secret clearance at one point, and um, I I was exposed to certain things, and I got to see how firsthand how the government works with changing the narrative and stuff like that. But I don't want to get too deep into that because I don't know exactly what I'm allowed to say or whatnot. But I've seen that firsthand, so I know the government does that without a doubt. But again, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it needs to be done because it actually, you know, is to protect you or protect us. But I do believe that they kind of go overkill with that. Um, But there are others out there who also, believe that these UFOs or UAPs are not from outer space. They're coming from, from within the Earth itself. Like for instance, the theory of the USOs, right? I mean, look at how vast and deep our oceans are. We don't even have those completely mapped. We don't know what's in in the ocean, right? We know more about space than we do our own oceans. So, could there be an entire civilization even larger than the one that we have on the surface living underwater? Absolutely, it's possible. They may have the technology to live in the depths of the ocean, and we wouldn't really be able to uh, find them. You know, so I mean I don't think that's an impossibility. Um, but we won't know until we focus on trying to actually map those areas. But like I said before, the more that we start looking in the oceans, the more we keep finding, you know, buildings or signs of ruins and ancient structures in places that they really shouldn't be there. You've got the Bimini Road that was discovered, right? And then you have the structures that were found off the, I believe it's the Yagaguni Islands in Japan. Those things are extremely interesting. You know, um, but the other side of it is this. Is there um, any kind of evidence, to support it, right? And mainstream science is going to say, of course, not really. Most photographs and videos that try to support that the hollow earth theory, most of those have been, debunked. Like the one of the famous ones, the one from the space station, where it looks like a giant gaping hole with flames or something being sucked in. That one was actually debunked. Somebody had put some graphic design work together, trying to do their best rendition of can I get a job working at Marvel or Industrial Lights and Magic, right? um, but some of those photographs were holes in the atmosphere, but they weren't holes leading into the earth. They were atmospheric holes from storms and stuff like that. And then of course people step in and clickbait it, and then and honestly that's one of those things that just really bothers me because it does a huge disservice to you know real science trying to get to the bottom of some of these, strange and paranormal things. Whenever you have people who come in and do these hoax things, or they do these clickbait things, or they do these things that they're deliberately, trying to deceive or make people believe something that is or isn't real or whatnot. It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. We're trying to actually get to the bottom of things, and stuff like that destroys the whole industry looking into that, and it makes people not want to. It makes anybody who's a serious scientist say, "I'm not going anywhere near that with a 10-foot pole. You crazy?" I'll get laughed out of my my university. you know. Um, so I hate seeing that because it's just like every time it happens, you go, oh, look at this. This is cool. And then, oh, it's debunked. It's some guy playing around with graphics or whatever, or some AI or something. Right. And now the whole thing, you know, uh, doesn't look serious anymore. Nobody wants to take it serious and no one wants to continue to look into it. And so decades go by and nobody does anything, researches anything, and we find nothing new out. And, we're still kicking around the same myths and legends for 100 years. That's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we can come out with a new cell phone every 30 days, but we can't make an advancement on figuring out that kind of stuff. Is pretty sad, pretty sad. But I digress. Um, Still, the persistence of these stories speaks to uh, humanity's desire to explore the unknown. Right? We we're natural explorers. We're thinkers, and we want to see things and know what they are. Know what they're all about. That's just what we do as humans. You know, but well, you can ask yourself, why does this theory persist despite the lack of evidence? I think it's partly because it appeals to our, innate curiosity and desire to uncover hidden worlds. The idea of an undiscovered civilization challenges our perception of Earth as, what we wish or want to believe is fully explored and understood. But there's so much that still needs to be just, uncovered, and so much that we just don't understand. We think we got it all, but we don't. We don't. We got a long way to go. I mean, we're still in the grand scheme of things, we're still uh, an infant as a species. Playing around with very dangerous weapons and stuff. You know, we're like children. With a grenade playing around. you know, Sometimes that idea is pretty scary, but the concept and idea of it also taps into our fascination with ancient mysteries and the possibility of advanced technologies or other beings. Um, if such a civilization existed, I mean, think about it. What might we learn from them? Could they have answers to our deepest questions? Could they solve some of the problems we have? Some of the crises that we deal with. Could they wipe those things out? Could they be advanced to the level of they can wipe out all diseases, things that we worry about every day? Maybe they have the technology to wipe out this cold that I have right now, which I'm pretty sure some of y'all probably heard that, which I apologize. Probably should have said something about that before, but yeah, I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm actually recording in Florida right now, and it's about 40 degrees or so. So it's a little chilly. But before it was warmer, and the temperature changed kind of quick. And I don't know about some of you, but I'm one of those people that when the temperature changes really fast, it kind of screws with my sinuses. So um, I apologize for that. So I'm probably a little bit more froggier than normal, and less baby berry white. uh, but let's continue. I mean, let's be honest. Part of the appeal is the drama, also, right? Stories of secret entrances, hidden maps, and government cover-ups. I mean, it ignites our imagination, even if sometimes it could be implausible. Now, despite all that, um, I want to mention this because it's something that I looked into, and I think you'll find pretty interesting. Um, in 2014, water was discovered um, hundreds of miles beneath the earth, uh, and a lot of water. And just to to get you to understand and drive it home, it was enough water to fill all the Earth's oceans at least 3 times over. Let me say that again. There was enough water found inside the Earth to fill all the Earth's oceans. That's the oceans on the surface at least 3 times over. That's crazy, right? That area is known as a transition zone. It's between the upper and lower mantle, so kind of sandwiched in between the two, kind of like probably if you want to imagine it like a hot pocket. You got the hot pocket with all the stuff in the center, but the outside is the crust or whatnot. So it's kind of like that, right? So I mean that means there's more water in the earth than on the surface. That's incredible. Now, I don't know how many of you are into mythology or the biblical teachings, etc. But uh, this may answer the question about what happened to uh, all the water after the Great Flood, right? The Great Deluge, right? This might explain it, because if you have that much water that's inside the earth versus what's on the surface, if you had some type of way and or mechanism to get that water to flow onto the surface, well, then there's your global flood right there. There's your, 100, 200, 300 foot, you know, walls of water, or maybe even, larger than that, with that amount of volume of water. I mean, it would just be massive. It would probably been a sight to see. The poor unfortunate souls who got to see it firsthand. It probably blocked out the sun and turned things dark when it happened. With uh, tsunamis and swells that big, it's kind of spine chilling when you think about it. And I don't know if you ever been at the beach um, and just kind of standing on the coast there, and on the water hitting your feet or whatnot, and you're looking out, and just imagine that all of a sudden that water that you see across with the flat plain and the boats on it or whatnot just suddenly rises so high that you can no longer see the sky. Incredible. Um, if you, some of you may be familiar with Graham Hancock. I'm a big fan of Graham Hancock. Been following him for a long time. I remember when I read his one of his oldest books, the um, back in the day, and I just kind of got sucked in ever since, and I've kind of been watching and reading everything he does since. The guy's pretty squared away for the most part, you know. But if you follow Hancock, then you probably already know he covers this flood uh, myth in detail, right? And he's definitely making some headway with that. As far as in the scientific community, he's getting to the point where they can't just ignore him at that point. But he has a ton of books out. Just look up Graham Hancock. You can Google him. I encourage you to read his stuff, with an open mind. Take a look at it, read it. He also has some documentaries out on Netflix as well. Um, I think it's called Ancient Apocalypse, I believe, but I'm pretty sure you can Google it. But yeah, go check those out too. The documentary is they're absolutely amazing. The visuals and the stunning detail they go into is it's pretty eye opening, and and also entertaining, but definitely get you thinking, outside the box, which is what you really want. You want to be thinking outside the box. We want our scientists and our archaeologists, and we want them thinking outside the box, because this is how things and get found and new discoveries get made. It's not by following the same old. So that's why I love stuff like that, right? Um, but in 2019, uh, geologist from Princeton University, they published a study, and that, in my opinion, literally just they changed the game. You know what I mean? Every now and again you got those things that happen that just change everything. Kind of like Graham Hancock when he came in with his theory about the Younger Dryas and all that. That's kind of stuff that kind of shook the world up and changed the game, right? People like Avi Loeb, with his theories about Oumuamua. Those things changed the game, right? Um, but they published this study where they used a supercomputer um, to analyze uh, earthquake data, and found huge plains and mountains, even larger than the Himalayas, deep beneath the earth, like about 400 miles deep beneath the earth. Uh, and when they found it in the same area that the water was discovered in 2014. So in a way, you almost like a connecting the dot moment, or circumstantial correlation between the two. But so when you think about it, right, you've got uh, vast plains under the earth, right? Huge mountains and all the water you could need, all beneath our feet. More water than we have on the surface. I have to emphasize that, 'cause that It's crazy when you think about it, right? We haven't even discovered what's in our oceans, but there's oceans bigger than our oceans under our oceans. Jeez. um, but to me, it sounds like enough to support life or a completely different entire ecosystem. You know, let alone an intelligent civilization, right? Now, disclaimer. Okay, disclaimer. Um, when we talk about this, we get this visual in our head of this like something out of the King Kong movie with these big visuals of the hollow earth and these nice beautiful plains and green grass and mountains and whatever. It's not like that. So when they did this study, it's more like it's more like density levels, versus like clear areas. So when they did this study, it showed different density levels, and when they measured it out, it was just showing that this high density area here was as big as mountains and yada yada, right? So that's just a little disclaimer, at least from the data that we currently have, right? Who knows what it'll be in the future, but as current technology has interpreted. Um, they're coming out with new types of scanners all the time. So, and they're finding stuff all the time because of it. Every time they invent a new scanner, they scan something and find something else new that in an area where nothing was supposed to be, or they already, searched before with a different type of scanner. So, um, uh, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we develop some super saiyan powered lidar scanners that penetrate deep into the earth, at levels that eh, you know um that we currently can't do, and give us like HD high resolution 3D scans or whatever to come back, and there's no questioning what's down there. You know what I mean? So that's probably coming at some point. But I wanted to throw that little disclaimer out there. But nonetheless, it's still very, very intriguing, to say the least. Um, so, where does that leave us as a species, right? Um, if there are these huge hollow areas in the earth with all this vast oceans and whatnot. Could it be, if there's no one down there now, could it be an area that we could go to one day? You know what I mean? Let's say if we have some massive cataclysm coming or whatnot, instead of moving into the sides of mountains and stuff like that and building these bunkers and stuff, what if we could get into these deep areas down in the earth? I mean, it sounds like for the most part it's warm, so we don't have to worry about freezing to death. I mean, it may be hot, but it's warm, so that's something. You can use thermal electricity devices maybe or something to keep society sustained underneath. Um, Obviously there would be plenty of water, you know, and if you've got heat and you've got water, even if you don't necessarily have sunlight, as long as you have some type of radiation, there's certain plants and stuff that you can grow. So, food might not be an issue, So, I kind of think about that. Like, what if one day that's what we do? We go down there and build, you know, we might be the first ones to go down there and actually have a civilization down there, or have a breakaway civilization, as they say, so to speak. And it'd be down there versus us discovering someone else. It's something to think about. But so the hollow earth theory, might not hold up to scientific scrutiny as we know it now, but it remains a captivating piece of speculative thought. It's a fun subject to talk about and think about. Whether as a metaphor, a myth, or a modern day legend, it reminds us to, in my opinion, to keep questioning everything, and to keep exploring. As we wrap up tonight's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Sometimes the value of a theory lies not in its truth, but in the questions it inspires. And that's going to take us out on the show. I want to again say thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me ramble tonight. I hope it was interesting, entertaining, and informative. Please leave comments. Let me know what you think. Give me your ideas. Share any stories with me. Please just share it out with your friends. I really would like to get more subscribers and more activity going on and more communication with the community. And don't forget to do all the things, hit the like, hit the subscribe, notification bells, the follows, and all that. Hit us up on Instagram and YouTube, our YouTube channel. And if you enjoyed this, as much as I did, if you enjoyed this and you like this kind of content and you want to support us, please consider throwing a tip in the tip jars, per se. Send us a donation if you feel that's what we deserve here. Take a look on the sites. There should be a link somewhere to in the description where you can make a donation. I mean, $1, $5, $10, as much as you want or whatever. And just $1 goes a really long way to help with the channel and with the show. Again, it's been extremely fun. I've enjoyed every minute of this. I appreciate you guys so much for allowing me to be here and to do something I always wanted to do. Another tick in the hat, so to speak. But join me next week. Like I said, we're going to try to do this every Wednesday around 8 p.m. So join me next week as we venture into another mind-bending topic of the ancient civilizations and the Grand Canyon. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. Was there a civilization there or not? What's in the Grand Canyon? Why is it a no-fly zone? So we'll get into that. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a very interesting show. Until then, keep the lights low and your curiosity high. I'm your host, LELOW. This is the Thinktankden After Dark podcast. And on that note, we out. You are listening to the Thinktankden After Dark podcast.